Is bodybuilding demonic? Hmm. Before you get all triggered, I want to talk about what Cali Muscle recently said in a video that he made, saying that bodybuilding competition, the world of bodybuilding, is demonic in nature. Now, I'd like to break this down because I think that there may be some validity to it and some perspectives, but I want to know what you think. Okay, so what does demonic even mean? All right, let's go ahead and take a look and see what the word demonic is. The dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary, says of resembling or characteristic of demons or evil spirits, demonic possession, fiercely energetic or frenzied, in a demonic hurry. Below, another explanation says that demonic is a word to describe behavior or people who are extremely evil or cruel. All right, now that's a pretty generalized and in a very intense word to use. But when we're looking at the sport of bodybuilding, I was very deeply involved in it for many, many years. And what I saw was a lot of narcissism. All right, whenever you have this obsessive nature towards something that is geared towards going outside of yourself for some kind of acknowledgement or some kind of external gratification, i.e. being judged on your physical appearance, right? I would say that that is service to self. Now, between the two vibrations of love and fear, all right, at the very core of everything, from what I've experienced and what I've learned, all right, everything comes down to either love or fear. You're either doing things from a place of love or you're doing things from a place of fear. And it's through the growth process we learn and understand the small nuances of what that really means for us. Now, narcissism is service to self above all else. Love is the antithesis of narcissism. It's service to others while maintaining the self, right? So learning how to love yourself while competing in bodybuilding, it's very rare that I've seen that happen. Now, I'm not saying that it's all inclusive because we're all individuals and we all approach things in our own way. I would say the top maybe 3 to 4% of people in the industry do in fact come from a place of self-love, because the process of dieting and gaining size, like there's unique genetic potential that makes people capable of being able to reach those heights without damaging their body too much. However, with that being said, that is more the exception rather than the norm. So what I've seen for the most part, the industry in and of itself, the marketing, the advertising, the process in which preparing for a bodybuilding competition goes. You're encouraged to take super physiological amounts of performance enhancing drugs. And hey, I'm not judging here. I've done it myself. And this is why I'm speaking from experience, because I've learned just how bad it can damage you. In fact, when I first started competing, I started literally with 300 milligrams a week of Primobolan, 300 milligrams a week of Masteron. That's it. No test, no growth, nothing else. And I was still doing cardio every morning, and that kept me very lean. And honestly, that was when I feel like I was in the best shape of my life. 2011, 2012. It was when I won, after my 5th show, when I won my 5th overall, I wanted to level up. I wanted to go to the national level competition. So I started working with coaches. I hired Dennis James and a few other big names back then. And when I did that, they had me eating way more food and getting on more gear. Now, I would talk to other people that were heavyweights or super heavyweights that were at the national level and really deep in the game. I made an agreement with myself at this time to do whatever it took to get there. I wanted to be an IFBB pro so bad. I was obsessed. And that's what I believed in at that time. And the agreement I made to myself was I will do whatever it takes. I don't care. And later on down the road, I learned that the nuances of how, when I said that I will do whatever it takes, I was actually willing to hurt myself and hurt people in my life in order to attain this idea that ended up being really a smokescreen. right? So you're taking all these drugs that over time will hurt you and really resemble addiction. It's an addictive nature. And of course, you'll see all these very successful people saying you have to be obsessed. You have to go all in. And I agree, you do have to go all in a certain way, right? When you're going all in and beating the crap out of yourself and hurting yourself and doing things that are damaging your organs and pushing your body beyond its limits, this is not beneficial to success. In fact, it's really only going to perpetuate cycles of learned lessons that are karmic, and everybody deals with these in their own way. Okay, so stepping on a stage, getting judged by other people based on your physical appearance. Now, I am a fan of the philosophy of bodybuilding. In fact, through the years and the levels and the layers of things that I learned, I created my own philosophy of bodybuilding, which I call spiritual bodybuilding. Right? Really true, like we are not just our physical body. We have an emotional body. We have an etheric body. We have an astral body. We have a causal or spiritual body. We have an etheric body. All these different parts of our consciousness are part of our multidimensional self. So when you're ignoring all these different parts of you, and then here you're raising your anabolic hormones to super physiological levels, much higher than they're meant to be, not only does it push your body past its limits and suppresses the check and balance process in the body, but it also takes you out of your heart. A lot of guys, there was a point where I think I got blood work done a couple times when I was at my peak, and I was doing about a half to a third of what most other guys I knew were doing. And my test levels were in the 3,500 to 4,000 range. So these guys, like, if you're taking over a gram of anything, you're destroying your body, just throwing it out there, all right? One of my really good friends, God rest in peace, Boston Lloyd, he was one of those guys that just loved experimenting. And hey, I'm all about experimenting. I feel like bodybuilders are the original biohackers of the world, really. We're willing to just do and try things and feel how it works, but you do too much, your body's going to give up. And if you get too addicted or attached to that identity about who you are, it'll swallow you whole. I have probably 5 people I know that have either had to have a kidney transplant or on dialysis or are on chronic kidney disease. Livers jacked up. Body surgeries all over the place by the time they're 40 or 50 years old. The reason why I have not gone through any of that is because during the process of my bodybuilding days, I started working with plant medicines, combo, ayahuasca, iboga, bufo. These medicines saved me from myself. And I'll get into that more in another video. But for now, understanding that you want to step on stage, and especially if you have a coach and you're having someone else tell you how to eat in order to look a certain way, to be judged, to fit a certain external criteria. The whole concept in and of itself is seeking outside of yourself for validation. And this is a deeper subconscious or subliminal process that the entire marketing of the bodybuilding industry preys on. I know so many bikini pros or women that are trying to become pros. Most of them have to sleep with the judges or with Jim Mannion or with somebody in that leadership group in order to make it there. All right. There's a lot of weird sexual fetishy stuff that these different people will try to get you in. In fact, when I did the 2013 Nationals in Miami, I got approached by this guy named Jimmy Z, and he wanted me to do a photo shoot with him. I was like, yes, I'm in the best shape of my life. I'll definitely do a photo shoot. While I'm doing the photo shoot, I found out that he was the king of gay porn in Southern California. He wanted to convince me to do some kind of sexual stuff. I was like, bro, get the fuck away from me. Give me my money and I'm going, and I'm out of here. And even that, just doing a regular bodybuilding video shoot caused problems. I ended up on all these websites that I didn't want to be on. And apparently Jimmy Z died. Not much I can do about it. All right. My point is that not much of anything is what it seems in that world. The few very successful people you see, they are like, competing is fun for them. Competing is fairly easy for them. But you see a lot of people that do not have the genetics that are trying to be something that they're not. And they've the NPC, the IFBB, and all these other federations have capitalized on utilizing these vulnerabilities or these unconscious behavior patterns, traumas in people's lives. So in some ways, the industry does feed on insecurities from people. I 100% agree with that. So Cali Muscle, I think you're onto something. I agree with you. Also, eating all that protein, you don't always need all that protein. Now, I work by intuition. I've never eaten like science has said that I should. In fact, I've never trained like science says I should. I did when I was younger, but I found that writing all these things down and all these mathematical calculations for calories and whatnot, it took away from me tuning into my body and feeling what was right for me. I'm very intuitive with everything that I do. So I just recently stopped eating meat. I eat maybe once or twice a day. Intermittent fasting, I guess you could say. I fast quite often. I meditate all the time, right? All these things are critical to build the emotional and the spiritual, the astral body, the causal body. And they're all very much connected, very, very important to an overall quality of life. So if you are still in that hustle and grind, and I gotta, that beast mode shit and downing these pre-workouts that have all these artificial colors and flavors in them, you're destroying your body. Now, performance enhancing drugs. We are also bombarded with all these endocrine disruptors. And there's a lot of confusion about, hormonal stuff out there. Here's what I have to say about that. Okay, TRT, or if your hormones are out of balance, I personally believe that it's good to take something that helps you balance out your hormones. Man's optimal testosterone levels should be between 800 and 1500. Okay, 1000 and 1200 is probably pinpoint accuracy. Anything lower than that, and you're going to have one type of imbalance. That's going to throw off all the other imbalances. Women should not do gear. If you're going to do anything, do a little bit of growth hormone and, maybe a fat burner every now and then, but I even try to stay away from that. Okay, because fat burners are also going to, deplete your adrenal glands. And also in women, testosterone is secreted from the adrenal glands. Okay, so if you are competing, for me, for my first 5 shows, I coached myself. After that, I had a coach for 4 shows. And then I decided my last show that I was going to coach myself. And I had support from some, bodybuilder friends, my friend Nick Antico, shout out to him. That helped me dial it in as far as dehydration and whatnot. But even the dehydration process is incredibly dangerous. Now, I'm all about creating myself. And we are coming into an age where the split between competition and creation is becoming bigger and bigger, more dominant. So if you are still in competition with yourself or others, all right, competition to get on stage and be judged by someone else to tell you that you look a certain way, then you got to work on this and handle that. That is not being in your heart. Unless you feel in your heart that it is all right for you. But that is very, very rare. Most of the time you're analyzing, you're interpreting from your left side of your brain. And it's all coming from the outside. Look, when we're in our heart, we create from the inside, from our heart space. And then we utilize the mind to be able to structure the details. And that requires a creative process. So if you are going to be competing in bodybuilding or competing in that sport, follow your heart. Do not throw your body too far out of whack, or if you start feeling some kind of health issue coming on, right, or some kind of imbalance, you're getting exhausted all the time, brain fog, you can't think. All right, if you're developing bulimia or anorexia or binging and purging, right? Or if you're finding that all your relationships aren't working, or you're pushing relationships away, like, I'll be ready for a relationship later on in my life. Yo, a happy life is created through relationships. We're meant to be interdependent beings. And most people that compete are very isolated. They're very closed off. You ever notice that? Most really big guys, they look angry or like just dark all the time. Urgh. Why do you think that is? Because that anger at the self for not being perfect is taken out on the weights. But what kind of life is that to live? Really, ask yourself. Do you really feel fulfilled? Or do you feel like you're always in this destination preoccupation, trying to get to that place that you're really never going to get to? A lot of things to think about, especially in this time right now. Before you do anything, before you step into any kind of new situation, ask yourself, am I doing this because I love it? Because I love myself and I want to become a better version of myself? Right? I don't compete anymore because I realized that I was fucking miserable when I was doing that. All right, I looked pretty good, but I also couldn't adhere to some of their rules. Like, I couldn't lose that 5 extra pounds, or I had to be an extra 30 pounds bigger. And I remember when I was trying to go from light heavy to heavy, I had to gain like 40 pounds. I got up to 250 at one point. I was so uncomfortable. I was getting winded walking up a flight of stairs. I got sleep apnea. I was sweating profusely. I tried Tren once for like 3 weeks. I would never do it again. That stuff is disgusting. It destroys your body. And yes, my body does not produce testosterone anymore. And I've used every resource that I've known to try to get it stimulated to be back to being normal. Hasn't happened yet, but I still have, I know there's a new gene therapy out there that is supposed to help. So, and with all the new technologies coming out, anything can happen. Anything is possible. And I will come up with this information as I learn more, because I'm all into biohacking. This is what I do for a living. I love it. So please let me know your thoughts. I would like to know what you think about this information I provided. And if this information has supported you or resonated with you in any way, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with other people. All right. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope.